Hey, I'm Andrew Hales. Welcome to another edition of Chatting With. Today I'm here with Jamie.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Police officer,
Yes.
LAPD,
Mm-hmm.
one of LA's finest. How long you been a cop?
Going on 9 years. I'll be 9 years in January.
Well, how'd you get into the force?
It's kind of a different story than most. I never pictured myself being an officer. It was never on my radar. I grew up in entertainment, doing singing, acting, Broadway shows, and that was always the goal. I started working professionally when I was 8, and I traveled all over the world singing in shows. And so my goal was to go to college, get my degree, and go back to Broadway because it's that easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I worked a little bit regionally, and I did a lot of voiceover work, a lot of radios, some movies here and there. And I went to NYU to get my music degree. And then after I graduated from NYU, I was just living in New York. And it's a little bit different going to school in New York and actually having to live in New York and pay for things. And I was waiting tables, and I had a good agent. I was auditioning, but it started becoming frustrating and a little scary because I didn't know how I was going to continue, to pay the bills, and I didn't want to be a waitress my whole life, and it was just a little bit harder than I had anticipated. As a child, it was just the work came pretty easily and steadily, and as an adult, it was just a little bit more difficult. So I started thinking, what if I were to do something else? What would I even do? I've never done anything else. This is what I've been my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, I moved back to California. I got a job at Disneyland working as a singer and actress there, and loved it. Worked there for 6 years, and still I was like, I feel like I want to do something else. Not that I'm bored with acting and singing, but I've been doing this for over 20 years now, since I was 8, and I want kind of a new adventure. What could I do? What could I do? So I thought about real estate. I thought about, doing some other, insurance-y type things, and nothing was really sounding interesting. So my dad was an officer, LAPD officer for 34 years. So that's where that comes from.
All right.
And we were talking one day on the couch, and I was like, I really want to do something else, but I don't want to stop singing because that's a huge part of who I am. Makes me happy. But what can I do that will give me stability, that will allow me to buy a house someday, that will allow me to quit my job at the Cheesecake Factory because I'm so over Cobb salads and serving. And he was like, well, you could be a cop. And I was like, okay, no, but thank you. That's crazy. And I was like, I love you, Dad, and I think what you do is great, but no. And he was like, why not? And I was like, well, and I just didn't really have a good answer. And I was like, I just don't think I would fit that whole life. And he was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, well, I'm not like a police officer type person. I had this preconceived notion, like an idea of an officer, like what a typical officer is.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was somebody, with military experience, somebody very serious, a man. That's what I thought of when I think police officer. I think of a man, someone who is not friendly, maybe kind of stern. And my dad's really chilled and laid back, so I don't know why I thought that. But I was like, I would never get hired anyway. Even if I did apply, they would never hire me. And he was like, I think you might be surprised. So I started thinking about it, just like, can you even imagine if I was a police officer? What would that be like? Went on the website just to kind of look. And then a week went by, and my dad was like, hey, I heard from my partner they're having a recruitment seminar. I'll take you out to dinner if you go. Just go. Just listen. You don't have to take the test. I'm like, dinner? Okay, fine. So I go. I'm sitting there, and I still remember it so clearly. The sergeant that was in charge of the seminar, who's now my supervisor, it's crazy, she walks out, and I had never seen a police officer like her. Like, she looked so good in her uniform. She was smiling, shaking hands with everybody. She was laughing, just very approachable. And she told us all about her life. She was kind of like me, never thought she'd be an officer. She was a fitness instructor. She was a model on the cover of magazines and things. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm connecting with her.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, maybe I could do this. So what would be involved? And I'm looking at these videos, and I started thinking, wow, that sounds like a really fun job. You know, you're outside, you're doing something different every day. Great schedule, you're talking to people. It's a special job, which is what I really was looking for.
So it's been 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a fun job?
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
What's
so
the best?
much fun.
What's the best thing about it?
I just love the fact that every day there's an opportunity there. You never quite know what you're in for that day.
You never get scared?
Of course. I'm human. I would be lying to you.
Well, I would be so scared to pull over a guy, or I don't know. Do you pull over people? What's your, I don't know. Does each guy in the force have different tasks?
Yeah, there's different
Right.
assignments and different divisions, and I
Yeah.
worked patrol, which is, answering radio calls and traffic stops, things that you're talking about. Worked patrol for 6 years, and then I went to recruitment, which is where I am now. So right now, today, I am not in enforcement, so I'm not pulling people over today. But
Okay.
that could change at any time. That's one of the cool things about the department is you can try other things. If you want to do something else, you can put in to go for a different division.
You've done some DUIs and all that.
Yeah.
When so a common misconception I feel like is like you have to, or you're allowed to say no to a breathalyzer. So when someone does say no, what did you do?
To be honest, I didn't encounter that too many times. Usually people do. When you apply for your license, it's like you're implying that you're going to consent to the breathalyzer if and when you're pulled over for that. But if the person is like, no, I don't want to do that, in the field, when you're there standing at the car, they can do that. I'm not going to force them to do it. But once you arrest that person, if you end up arresting that person and taking them to the station, then they are obligated to do the breathalyzer. They have to. If they refuse, that's like a separate charge, a refusal charge, and then that has its own penalties. Like it's a steeper fine. They could face suspension.
So there's really no point to refusing.
You're going to have to do it at the station anyway, and if you don't, then it just kind of makes it worse. But I mean, you can. It's not like we're going to make you.
And what about like searching someone's trunk? If they refuse that, then what's the next step?
Well, it's a complicated question because you can't just search somebody's car without going into the whole legal thing. You can't just search somebody's car because you pull them over. Like, oh, you ran a stop sign, get out, I'm going to search your car. It just doesn't work that way. So you have to have probable cause to search the car. You have to have an idea that this person was involved in a crime and that they're connected to the crime in order to be able to search the car.
Okay. What's the worst part of your job?
The worst part, there are definitely tough aspects to the job. Certain radio calls that I think all of us dread. Anything where a child is involved. If a child is hurt or like even worse, killed.
Wait. Sounds. It's Hollywood sirens here. Yeah. Sound check. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
So any call where a child is hurt is really tough for me. I mean, even before I was a mom, it was very hard to see kids. I mean, they're so helpless. They're the ultimate victim, and they don't understand what's going on, and that's really hard. And now being a mom, even harder to see these things. I mean, there's some evil out there for sure, and to say that I'm not affected by it and I'm just it's just another day, it's not true. I'm definitely affected by it, but it makes me feel so much better to know that if I wasn't here, nobody would be here for them. So it's my job to make it better as best I can. If that makes sense.
Yes, a lot of that can be hard. Did you ever have to go to therapy or anything?
No, but the department does offer that. There's a whole section for that, but I've never.
Is it true that cops have a quota they have to meet each month for tickets?
Ticket quota? No.
It's not true?
No.
Oh.
It's been, I think, over a decade now that they're You can't have a quota.
I've always like heard that, yeah, by the end of the month, they're all out there trying to give out tickets because they have a quota.
I've heard that. I think it's a common misconception, but
Wow.
no, you can't.
Could it depend on maybe state to state? Or
It could, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know in California, you can't have a quota.
Have you ever had to chase anyone on foot?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while, but been there.
What's do you still have to do a test a physical every year to?
No, the LAPD doesn't have an annual PFQ, a physical fitness qualification, but I know some departments in the country do. But yeah.
Did you catch the guy? Did you tackle him?
Oh, we caught him. Thankfully, we did not have to tackle him. So.
Pepper spray, tased anyone?
Pepper spray, I don't like pepper spray, so I don't use that. But taser, yeah, I've had to tase people before.
Do you have all that on your belt right now?
Just the pepper spray. The tasers are at the division.
Okay. Have you ever feared for your life at one point?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
What was that situation?
This was an incident that happened. I was only maybe 7 weeks out of the academy, so brand new officer, still figuring everything out. I had a training officer. We were working in the valley, San Fernando Valley, and I was assigned to Topanga Division, which is like Woodland Hills, and the neighboring division is West Valley. So a call came out in West Valley, and many times officers from neighboring divisions will help each other out if it's a very dynamic incident and you need a lot of backup. So a call came out. It was a gang-related shooting. Witnesses had seen the suspect flee the area. So the airship was overhead trying to look for him. West Valley officers requested backup for the search. So my training officer was like, hey, you want to go to that? That might be a good experience for you. It's a good call. So we respond, and the airship told us that he had found the suspect hiding in a carport behind an apartment, behind a truck. And so sure enough, we get there and we turn the corner and we see him, and he's clearly under the influence of something. He's got both hands in his pockets. He's laughing at something, talking to himself. He's looking around, sweating. And so we're giving him commands, you turn around, get on the ground. We know that he's armed because this is a suspect in a shooting, which ended up being a homicide. So the airship is giving him commands, we're giving him commands, nothing. And all of a sudden he just gets real still, and he looks at us, and he takes both his hands out of his pockets, and he has a revolver in one hand and a semi-auto in another, and he starts shooting directly at us. So it was one of those situations where your brain is just trying to catch up to what's actually happening. It's, when something like this happens, I think everybody reacts in a different way and has different memories of it. For me, everything slowed down. It was slow motion. So in my memory, it was like slow motion, his hands coming out of his pockets. And I was looking, and I was like, that's a gun. That's a gun. Am I really seeing this? Am I really seeing this? And I remember hearing my partner yelling gun. I remember yelling gun. There were several other officers around. So yeah, that was definitely the scariest situation.
You guys were behind your cars?
Yeah, my partner and I, along with two other officers, were taking cover behind. Since we were in a carport, there were cars on both sides, so we were taking cover behind a truck that was parked there.
Man.
Yeah.
Common misconceptions that people have about cops? Yeah.
Probably like some of the ones that I had when I thought about police officer. Very functional, officious, no personality, mean.
Yeah, drone, yeah.
Yeah, robot kind of sign here. I think a lot of people have that. Even my best friends were kind of like, Jamie, what are you doing? Are you sure you want to be a cop? Like you're too nice. And it's like there's so many officers with so many different backgrounds in this department, so many different personalities, and I don't know where the idea that some of us have comes from. I know a lot of people have had bad experiences with officers, and I think that one bad experience, you need 20 good experiences to even erase that a little bit. Right. So I think many people have had unfortunate interactions with officers. I've been pulled over by mean officers before. I'm like, you really don't need to yell at me. It's okay. So I get it. I get it. But
Can you park anywhere you want?
anywhere you want, like ever?
I don't know. If you're in a cop car, can you park in the red without any
Oh,
consequences?
for the most part, yeah. Especially if you're responding to a radio call. Yeah.
Right. And you can. Have you ever just put on your sirens just so you could skip ahead of traffic?
Just because. Never.
That's illegal, right?
Never.
Okay. Has anyone tried to bribe you?
No, that has never happened. Believe it or not.
Anyone you know in the force that's been bribed, or
I hope not.
any crooked cops?
I sure hope not.
You're like, yeah, Henry's.
Oh yeah.
He works for
Henry.
the mob, yeah. If the speed limit's 75 and you're going 75 and a car rushes past you, obviously going past the speed limit, are you able to give them a speeding ticket even though it's not on the speedometer thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't have a radar gun
Right.
if you're in your police car driving, but
Yeah.
they teach you in the academy. You're trained on pacing and try to speed up to them, and then you could pace them for a while to kind of gauge where their speed is, and that's how you.
Oh, and
figure it out.
that's admissible?
That's how you would figure out how much over they're going over the speed limit.
All right. Yeah, again, you can cut out anything you want.
Oh no! Now I'm scared.
Does he think that prejudice or racism is an issue within the police force?
No, I mean, we've had a lot of training. Recently, we just had training on something called implicit bias. And it was kind of just telling us that every human being has a bias, whether you think you do or not. However, as police officers, we have an oath to not take any of race, religion, gender into consideration. So there should never be an officer that ever is racist or prejudiced. And if that were to come to light, then appropriate action would need to be taken because they don't deserve to have a badge and a gun. So I would hope that there are no officers who hold those beliefs. I realize that the department is comprised of humans, and humans are imperfect, and people are, there are bad apples in every profession, whether you're talking dentistry or the police force. So if that were to be brought to light, they would need to not be officers.
What's one thing you wish the general public could understand from a cop's perspective?
I think just that we're just regular people with families and stress and excitement, all the things that everybody else deals with, we deal with too. Just because we're in a uniform and have this job doesn't make us any less human. And I think there's always going to be people who hate police, and that's never going to change. And nothing that I say, nothing that my partners say or do will ever change that. And I think that knowing that is half the battle, and I understand that. And we're still going to do our job for everybody, no matter how they feel about the police. But for the most part, there is a lot of support. And I just would want people to know that we're just normal people. And we go home at the end of every shift just like everybody else. Hug our babies, tuck them in, do all the same things, make dinner, do the dishes. Just people.
Well put. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, it was fun.
This is
Thank
airtight. Check out LAPD's Instagram in the description.
Yes, join LAPD.com. We're hiring aggressively right now. So you can go join LAPD.com, click apply, and start the adventure.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will see you next week.